MISAMO identity, right? This is I think we'll be able to do this one since this is on the JYP channel. For those who know, like, um, sometimes the Japanese tracks have some more like stringent copyright protections and stuff. But let's see, we should be okay for this one, I think.
I'm coming to you. Check this out, it's my style. この響く ram pam pam. I walk through my timeline. 他のノイズならカップワークアウト。ほら自由でいいよ fit. Do you find me a mystery? 誰かでも何でもない特別なのそれが愛。真似できないこのway たった一つ making it. My attitude overflowing job. 自信する savage and what? ないがない But that's the real me. Best I'm walking is my wrong way. 高くなる attention. Okay, the question mark. There's only one answer. It's deep inside my heart. Just be me. I know what I want, who I am, my eyes.誰かじゃない shining down my eyes. 感じてる like it. 比べられない This is me. I'm alright, I'm special and I know it. I'm really feeling myself. Myself. You want to feel yourself. Oh yeah. Always be myself and I. Yeah. Your identity. Princess hero, queen dam잖아. It's enough for me just to be myself. Everyone's royalty. 나를響take a trumpet. Vibe it in my beat, dum dum. Yeah. You get it right,止められない yeah. 이신데 shining bright. 피리つく刺激, feels alright. 무기여 day and night. 네게를 와결국날. If it cannot be stopped, yes welcome. Yeah. I know what I want, who I am, my eyes.誰かじゃない shining down my eyes. Oh yeah. 가질 땐 like it.比べられない This is me. I'm alright, I'm special and I know it. Really feel myself. Myself. Don't you want to feel yourself? Oh yeah. Always be myself and I. Yeah. Identity. Really feel myself. Myself. Don't you want to feel yourself? Oh yeah. Always be myself and I. Yeah. Identity.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I uh I had a hard time like remembering what the heck I was doing, man. They're they're very very beautiful, aren't they? Like, oh my goodness. Okay. The track is very cool. It's got like this minimalist take. It kind of sounds like some of the more recent Itzy kind of vibes, you know. It's definitely like minimalist. It's not throwing a whole lot at you at once, but it's like a very cool vibe for the verse section. A lot of those sort of like Latin overtones, the little horn sounds, and there's a lot of that, but it isn't. It's like just a seasoning over the track, right? Because it's pretty straightforward. A pop, kind of a what would you call it? It's very J-pop, I guess, right? Like, but it's also very clean. And this is interesting because a lot of the Japanese stuff tends to not lean towards the minimalism. Like, what they do, it still has like a very rich texture, but this is much more of like a straightforward practical application of minimalism in the overall song structure. Although it still has some absolutely great sounds in it. It's very catchy. It's very easy to kind of just relax into this groove, right? That this song actually provides. They have some very lovely melodies. You start to when you hear a lot of these subgroups and solos and stuff, right? Okay, now we pick out these three voices, right? And they have such great upper registers. I mean, like, it really, really shines through now that you have like just the MISAMO group to look at, but they get full value out of that. Like, they have such incredible upper registers, and they never ever like waste it, right? Like, they always get full value out of it, depending on what the song is and kind of like what it calls for. But it's never a disappointment. Oh, here we go. I was wondering, like, how come my volume, I wanted to hear it more. Okay, now I will attempt to pay more attention to the audio portion of it, right? It's definitely a vibe, and I enjoy it a lot. But I'm going to try to pay a little bit more attention to what I'm hearing now that I have seen what I've been seeing. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
I'm coming to you.
So kind of symphonic sound, symphonic orchestra sounds, you know, the brass, these trumpet, a little trumpet sequence there, right? Kind of a fanfare also in the beginning. Big bass drum, like concert bass drum sounds, boom, 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 boom. Has that Latin flair to it also. Very, very fun and interesting too, because it kind of, it's not the main vibe, but it does a good job of like setting up the tone for it. It's very red, right? Even the visual, that sort of flowy cape graphic that was going there.
This is my style. Kodo hibiko ram pam pam. I walk through my timeline. Hoka no nights na la can't work out. Hora jiyu de iafit. Do you find me a mystery?
There's a very cool mix of instrument sounds in this, right? Oh my god, they're so beautiful. Jeez. So we have this like very springy 808 bass. It isn't super deep, right? It's more like hangs around the low mid section, and every now and then they sprinkle in like these little synth bass sounds, right? And little like staccato string hits, right? And then like it's and it comes like, it'll be like right at the fourth beat, right? It'll kind of, it's almost like an articulation to provide a cadence, like for a phrase, kind of, right? It's very clever. It's very cute too. But I think there was a little bit of a trilly, kind of like a bitty 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 bitty, right? A sort of 16th notes. It was like plucked though, but it wasn't. I don't think it was like classical guitar. It might have been, I don't know, something a little bit smaller. It might have even been like a akayagum or something like that, or maybe it was a Japanese instrument. There's probably a higher chance of that happening. But yeah, it's a very diverse arrangement of instrument sounds, right? In the proper context of, wow, look at all this variety. Like, there are many, many different timbres in this. So kind of the through line really is what the bass is doing, that main bass, boom, 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 right? And then their own vocal melodies as well, right? There's a lot of little motifs, a lot of little hooks that are written into the vocal lines. It's a little triplet sequence on the trumpets, right? 1 lolly 2 lolly 3, right? And again, a little bit of a fanfare too. Little things that they've just pulled like from all over the place, right? It's very sort of a global, palette, right? It's very cool. The ascending line, da 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 da. It's it's very delicate, right? It's the approach to that, to sing that high note right at the end of that, and it's very sort of measured. There's a little bit of breathiness on the last note, right? Almost like they're holding back on the falsetto because JYP doesn't really dig that sound, right? Falsetto, he'd rather have a full voice, but it's almost like the very last syllable. They went ahead and like hopped up there just for a moment to just like sort of kiss that note, and then right after that it comes back down. Very very great melody writing though. It's really when you when you have like these vocal registers, if you have these three voices, you can write some gorgeous soprano lines. Like, oh my goodness, dude, that's incredible. It's it's very hard to concentrate. It really is. So the hook here, this hook motive, right? Dun, 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 dun. So I think we're doing harmonic minor here, is what it sounds like, right? As you have that raised seventh interval that's in there, that's kind of giving it the characteristic like color that it has. Again, one of these things that's reaching and trying to pull in influences and little characteristics from many different sources, but it's very well done, man. And now at this point, now that I'm actually paying attention, the mix has started to fill out, definitely. Like there's more percussive elements that are being pulled in, lots of eighth note rhythms that are being accented by like real blocky sounding percussion hits and things like this. Much more of that rhythm section, right, has filled out now. It's very, very synthy, but they're all using like instrument sounds, like string sounds and things like that. There's the occasional like bell, like you heard that ding. That's like the the countertop, like at the hotel check-in, like the ding, like you ring the bell. Like they're pulling many different sounds in, and they're using them very sort of like economically, right, the way it was written. Again, to get a value, like if you're gonna use it, right, you're gonna have it occur at the right time, so that it actually enhances like the overall sound of the song itself, and then the production too. But it's very, very well balanced as usual. That's the way these tracks always go. Oh, so these little string sounds, right? It's fun. It's really fun, dude. Like it's so economic and it's so measured, but everything is satisfying. Like everything, every little hook, every little motive that pops up, because they kind of are sprinkled throughout, but they're all very like super satisfying when you hear them. It's incredible. It has a sort of deliberate richness to it. And it's very enjoyable. Like, oh, it's just easy to listen to. It really is.
Princess hero, queen dam잖아. It's enough for me just to be myself. Everyone's royalty. 나를 힘을 take a trumpet. Vibe in my beat, dun dun. You get it right, no matter the night. Isn't that?
I don't know what that sound was just now. Like it's right there when Mina's has her line, right? It sounds at first like a trumpet, but it could have been like a very, very high string sound, but it sort of, the panning sweeps from left to right. It's almost like a little mosquito or something, like, flying around up here, like me. And it's a very quirky sound. Like, it pops up randomly. But again, like, these little things, these little ideas, these little musical ideas and sound ideas that pop up, and they do their thing. Like, here I am, and you're like, oh, that was fun, and then they disappear, and it's very interesting, and it's fun. It's a blast. Um, the overall writing, a lot of it is, dun 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 dun. It's not super complicated. Again, this was kind of like with Chewy's song too, right? The real meat and potatoes of it are very straightforward, very simple, not overcomplicated. But it's the layering, it's the way that the entire sound is built up over the course of the song, and how much fun it is with all their vocal parts and with all these quirky sounds that they use. It's really, really, it's wonderful, and it's super satisfying, and it's a very, like, just an enjoyable groove. Delivering on that vocal fry. There's sighing strings, right? Right there at the end, the sort of coming from the main hook section into this kind of post chorus. There was this what would you call it? Glissando strings, right? Descending, nah, nah. And it was like, it sounded like a sigh, like it was little things like that, like it's super interesting. The combination of your synthetic or synthesized digital type of sounds with dead strings that might very well be a plug-in, you know what I mean? But the timbre that it invokes and the contrast between the two, like that's what makes it interesting. Oh my goodness. Very cool. Like, such a cool sound, such a cool song. It's great. It really is. I don't like, man. Uh, with the with Chewy's solo debut, right? But Misamo, they came into their own so, like, effortlessly, right? Like, and this kind of, reinforces that idea to even the concept of the song, right? Um, it's very, it does have that empowerment concept basically at the center of it, but it's so positive too. Like, it ends up having like a wholesomeness to it, right? You know, but they do have this, you know, this worldly appeal, right? Like, now that it's like, whoa, man, they're incredibly, incredibly beautiful women. Um, but they're also so, like, down to earth too. And this is like all of Twice, right? It's most K-pop groups, really, like actually most of them, but it's something that they've always, like, exemplified, right? Like, they're amazing. Like, dude, I've seen them. Like, I've seen them, like, live in person. Like, I got to see them so close, and they're, oh, dude, they're flawless. They're so perfect, man. It's unreal. It really is. you're like, how how can this be real? Like how can they be like that perfect? But it doesn't ever go to their head, and that's kind of like the whole point of the song too. Um, and it's very cool. It's very cool, man. It's so much fun. Everything about it is super satisfying, man. Everything. Um, like I said, wonderful vocal melodies, right? Like when you have these three, oh, dude, you can write some incredible stuff. This song, the way it did its thing, again, very minimalist, but it's about being very economical with the sounds that you choose to incorporate. Again, to get like full value out of it. Very very great songwriting though. I love all the sections. The variety in the sort of the structures of the melodies and things that we get. We get some of those ascending lines, right? You get a little bit of longer phrasings right during the verse sections. So it keeps it very, very interesting. Yeah, it's variety. It is. It's like, this gives you so many different sounds and so many different ideas, and they're all like so thoughtfully done. They're so considerate in their writing and their delivery. Again, so that you'll be able to enjoy all these little bits and pieces, right, that they have put together for you here. It's very cool, man. It's very cool, and it's a blast, and they're beautiful, and they sound incredible. I'm looking forward to getting into the album. I really want to hear it because the first album, dude, that's still one of the top albums, right? Like of all time. It's so good, and I know this one's gonna be as good too. I would like to do the review, but if I do it, it won't be until like a little bit later. I'm gonna have a lot of time when Christmas, New Year's comes around, so I should be able to sit down and really listen to it then. And there's a couple of other albums that I'd like to get to also. So maybe I'll do it then. But this is very, very fun to catch up with the members of Twice now and see what they've been working on. It's, like I said, it's always good, right? They never miss, and if they change, it's only ever improvements. It's only ever getting better and stronger. And this is a perfect vibe that they have put down here with this particular track. And I think that if this is like the indication of like what the rest of the album is going to be, I think it's all going to be top quality, and we're going to get an interesting blend and selection of sounds too, hopefully. So we'll look forward to that one.